Welcome to Cess Talk Sports, BY's PoliSports Tea Time. This is where we sip truth, spill receipts, and talk sports with a conscience. That's your favorite auntie with Uncle tendencies, and we're stepping into something deeper. This is the next episode of our new series, Malcolm X Speaks on Sports, because Brother Malcolm already warned us about the playbook being run on black athletes today. This ain't just about hoops and contracts. This is about power, about how laws, policies, and systems get written, not to empower us, but to contain us. Malcolm said it plain. When black people gain agency, the system doesn't celebrate. It clamps down. It controls. So we're taking it back to the source. We're going to let Malcolm speak. And then we're going to break down what that means in 2025. NIL, coaching hires, corporate collabs, and collective bargaining. You ready? Because the tea is hot and it's historical. And as always, I got my day one rolling with me, Political Lil. Frame this conversation for us and show the play in real time.
Thank you, Auntie Cess. And welcome to Tea Table, y'all. I'm Political Lil, and like my sister said, this new series is more than a podcast. It's an intervention. We're calling it Malcolm X Speaks on Sports because the patterns he exposed in the 1960s, the way power structure manipulates the law to pacify black resistance, are still running today. They just got a different jersey on. Whether it's a politician using safety to regulate NIL deals or owners using character clauses to blackball outspoken players, the game has always been rigged to preserve white control, even in black-dominated spaces. Malcolm wasn't a sports analyst, but he was a master of systems, and he saw the mechanics of racism clearer than most. So in each episode of this series, we'll break down one of his core teachings in his speeches and show you how it plays out in today's sports world, from courtside to Capitol Hill. And baby, this one, we're calling it Maneuvered Out. How power uses policy to push us off the board just when we start to win. Let's get into it.
Malcolm X didn't just talk racism. He broke down the machinery of it. He warned us that oppression ain't always a burning cross or a lynch rope. Sometimes it shows up in a suit and a tie, stamped on legal paper. Malcolm made it plain. The South was loud about its racism. The North, slick with it. They used laws to hide what they wouldn't say out loud. He said the real danger wasn't the man calling you out your name to your face. It was the one smiling, shaking your hand, then voting for the law to keep you out the building. And Malcolm gave us the truth. You don't have to be a racist to support racism. All you got to do is stay silent when the law being written. Fast forward to today. The playbook ain't changed. Institutions protect their image, not their people. The law becomes the disguise. And if you don't know the game, you'll mistake control for justice.
That's right, Cess. Malcolm pulled back the curtain. In the ballad in the book, he said, when we began to take our problems to the American court, we wasted our time. It was the American court that made slavery legal. That same court legalized segregation. The law only works when it works for them. That's a hard truth we got to sit with in sports too. When we start getting a little power, a head coaching job, a multi-million NIL deal, a league of our own, all of a sudden there's a new rule, a new clause, a new federal guideline to protect us. But it's not protection, it's a power play. This country has always used legislation to maneuver us out of the land, out of the leadership, out of the legacy, and today to keep us out of the leadership in sports. That's what Malcolm meant. It ain't just about who writes the law. It's who the laws favor. And if black folks don't control that pen, we're just getting written out the script, period.
So let's bring it forward. The same strategy Malcolm warned us about, laws and language used to contain us, is alive and running in sports. On the field and on the court, we dominate. NCAA, WNBA, NFL, NBA, over 80% of the athletes black. We run the highlights. We fill the seats. We break the records. But when it comes to power, coaching, executive chairs, ownership boxes, we vanish. Less than 10% of head coaches in major college and pro sports are black. Ownership, not even 3%. The system will market your talent, but it will block your influence. And that's exactly what Malcolm meant by power manipulation. They'll let you dance, but never design the choreography.
And says, here's where it gets surgical. The system doesn't just say no. It creates policies to delay your yes. They talk about diverse pipelines as if we haven't already built enough championship resumes. They form search committees without a single black person on them. They push the idea that black coaches need more experience, even when they're they've outcoached half of the league. Then when we do get through, the terms are shaky, shorter contracts, less support, stricter performance reviews, one losing season, and we out. While mediocre white coaches get recycled like empty Gatorade bottles. It's not just a lack of opportunity, it's manufactured instability. Malcolm said, power won't step back unless it's met with more power. And in sports, the structures are designed so black power never gets a foothold. And if it does, it gets shaken loose, quietly, legally, respectfully, and completely.
Now let's talk policies and laws. Because Malcolm told us legal language is the mask of power. Take NIL, name, image, and likeness. Black athletes finally start stacking millions off their own names. And what happens? The NCAA and lawmakers run to the president, begging for an executive order to clamp it down. They want a clearinghouse. They want oversight. They want approval power over every deal. That's not protection. That's control. And it's no accident most of these NIL millionaires are black athletes. The new rules on the table, they threaten to strip autonomy, centralize control, and funnel the profits right back through systems that never had the players' backs. That's power playing dress up as protection, just like Malcolm said.
Exactly, Cess. Look at the WNBA collective bargaining agreement. On paper in 2020, it appears that the players got more say. But when the money started flowing in the ranges of 7, 8, and 9 figures, and the players invoke the opt-out clause, they get in Trojan horse resistance trying to renegotiate. The league's strong-arm tactics give the illusion to the public that the players have a choice. But walking away from a lopsided offer means risking income and benefits. The owners still hold the economic keys through closed books, controlling the league's purse strings and narration and narratives through secrecy and sustainability punchlines, while the players and the public watch billions coming into the league coffers. And then there's the college realignment saga. Power brokers on TV and the NCAA are reshaping conferences and schedules, moving cash and spotlight away from historically black colleges and universities. These shifts aren't just about sports. They're about who gets seen, who gets sponsored, and who gets legacy. This systemic sidelining Malcolm warned us about, and it's playing out in real time.
These examples ain't random. They're coordinated moves to keep black excellence boxed in. Look at Coach Dawn Staley, 3-time NCAA champ, the most influential woman in college hoops. But instead of celebrating her dynasty, critics call her teams aggressive or unrefined. Her coaching style gets dissected harsher than anyone else's. Why? Because her power isn't just wins, it's shaping futures for young black women, and that threatens the old guard. Classic Malcolm X. When black power rises, the backlash comes dressed up as critique. Now shift to Colin Kaepernick. He was never officially banned from the NFL, but we all know the truth. The league didn't break rules, it rewrote the playbook. No one signed him, became the cover story for blackballing. That's legal maneuvering in plain sight, and another receipt for Malcolm's warning. The system doesn't need to break laws to control you. It just changes the rules.
And here's where the story gets even more intense. The name, image, and likeness space, or NIL, which has been a game changer for black athletes. According to the CBS Sports, the Trump administration has already signed an executive order, and they're going to federalize NIL regulations, centralize and control in Washington. This move is being sold as a way to protect athletes, but in reality, it risks undermining the economic freedom black athletes have just begun to achieve. Most of the first high-profile athlete millionaires, Angel Reese, Bronny James, Flaw J. Johnson, even Shadeur Sanders, they're black athletes. Now the market is being reined in just as the power shifts in their favor. Malcolm X's playbook is live and in action here. As soon as you start to gain ground, the system moves the goalposts illegally. Federalizing any portion of NIL is a classic maneuver to slow down the momentum under the guise of fairness. On the other hand, players like Nafia Collier aren't waiting around for the system to change. She co-founded a successful and rival player-owned 3-on-3 basketball league, secured that $100 million media deal. This is more than a new league. It's revolutionary black economic agency in motion. And you better believe the WNBA and the larger sports systems are scrambling to either absorb or undermine this insurgent model, much like politics uses PACs and backdoor rules to control descending forces.
Let's talk media bias, the subtle law of the land that rewards whiteness and polices blackness. Look at Angel Reese versus Caitlin Clark, both in the WNBA, both superstars. Reese, NCAA champ, NIL powerhouse, brand expansion on lock and the dub. Clark, marketed as the face of women's basketball as if she stands alone. Reese gets dragged for attitude and behavior. Clark gets praised for competitiveness and charisma. That's not sportsmanship talk. That's the law of media. Whiteness rewarded, blackness forced to justify. And this ain't isolated. It's the same pattern Malcolm X broke down. Laws, media, and policy reinforcing racial power structures. Now let's talk NIL and that executive order. According to CBS Sports via CBS News, 47 signed an executive order establishing national monitoring standards for the NCAA's name, image, and likeness program. Sounds protective on paper, but history tells us laws regulating black freedom always come dressed as protection. NIL gave black athletes room to build empires. Angel Reese, Bronny James, Shadeur Sanders, moving like moguls before even turning pro. State laws in Georgia, Louisiana, Texas, California gave breathing room, flexibility, choice. But the moment black athletes started stacking generational wealth, here comes the federal government with the monitoring standards. The framing is slick, protecting athletes, eliminating confusion, creating consistency. But the real play, control. Federalizing NIL shifts power away from athletes and state advocates, straight back to the NCAA, the feds, and their lawyers. Malcolm told us, as soon as you rise from the bottom, the law changes the rules. And that's exactly what this is. Not regulation, interruption. The system in panic mode because black athletes started driving their own futures.
Says you ain't telling no lies. This is a classic power realignment masked as reform. And just like Malcolm X taught us, when black people start to create their own economy, the state steps in to protect us, which often really means contain us. These NIL deals are creating 6- and 7-figure earners before they hit the pros. The athletes are finally building something without having to ask the system for permission. That's not just business, that's black economic sovereignty. And that's exactly what they're trying to snatch back. Here's the part that matters. This executive order won't make the game safer. It'll make the game smaller, especially for athletes who come from working class and black communities that have already had to fight for every inch of opportunity. It'll tighten the rules on endorsements, impose national level compliance measures, and likely hand more authority to the NCAA, which has historically never worked in favor of black athletes. Think about it. When have these governing bodies ever made a major move that expanded our power? We should be also paying close attention about who's backing this. You got conservative lawmakers pushing for national uniformity, and even some modern liberals calling NIL the Wild West. But what's wild is that nobody had a problem when universities were the only ones making billions off black labor. It's only now that we figured out how to eat without waiting for them to pass us the plate, that they want to bring the federal enforcement. That ain't justice, that's backlash. And just like Malcolm X told us, you don't need to be hit in the head to know you're being attacked. The weapon is legal this time. The executive order is the new whip. It dresses the policy, but the purpose is the same. Keep control of black bodies, the black brand, and the black bag. And if we're not vigilant, this order could be the first step in putting NIL power right back in the same white hands that profited off our labor for decades.
Let's pause and ask the real question. What will Malcolm X say about NIL, executive orders, media bias, and all this legal maneuvering? He says sports is both a stage and a pressure valve. They let us run, jump, and dance. But the second we speak, organize, or earn on our own, the system pulls the reins tight. Malcolm knew distraction. He'd ask, what good is being MVP if your people still locked out of ownership? What's a highlight reel worth if the community stay broke? He wouldn't measure stats. He'd measure impact. And to Malcolm, impact meant power, collective, generational, unapologetic. Malcolm never split culture from politics. So he see college football Saturdays and Super Bowl Sundays for what they are. Not just entertainment, but tools. Tools of distraction, tools of exploitation. He said they give you the stage, but kept the mic. Put you in the game, but locked you out the rule book. And here's the truth. Malcolm wasn't talking about sports back then, but he might as well have been. Because just like in politics, the moment we build power on our own terms, the system shifts the ground. That ain't an accident. That's design, which is why we can't play checkers. We got to play chess.
You spot on right there, Auntie Cess. Malcolm would challenge us not to play the game better, but to ask whose game it is. And why do we keep letting them write the rules? He warned us that symbolic progress often masks structural containment. So when Black athletes start making noise, not just on the court, but at the bank, in the boardroom, or in the media, the system gets nervous. That's when we see legislation, cultural wars, and sudden new rules. Malcolm said it best: power never takes a step back, only in the face of more power. So if we want real change, it ain't enough to win championships. We need equity stakes, voting power, production rights, policy seats. The scoreboard is just optics. The real game is off camera. He probably asked, are we building legacy or are we just leasing fame? Because ownership, not visibility, is what secures our future. Malcolm will remind us that our bodies have always been monetized in this country through labor, through culture, and now through sports. But when our voices, mind, and capital start moving independently, that's when the sirens go off. So what would Malcolm say? He'd say, play the game if you must, but build your own arena while you do it. Don't just be an athlete, be a strategist, be a business, be a movement. That's how you face power with power. Today's episode reminds us that the rules are always rewritten when Black power starts to rise. We began by peeling back the legal language of so-called protection, namely Executive Order Trump signed as a step one in federalizing NIL. Let's be real. What they're calling standardization is often just re-centralization of control, especially for Black athletes who have finally begun to leverage NIL deals to build generational wealth. This federal move may undercut the very freedom states had to experiment with models that work better for our community. It's a chess move, not check in on fairness. If you listen closely to the message behind these proposals, you'll hear a familiar script. We're here to help. We need order. We want to protect the athletes. But protection without power is just another form of managed dependency. Black athletes don't just need to be protected. They need to be positioned to negotiate, to build, to own. As Malcolm X warned us, the moment we begin to rise, the law begins to shift. This isn't paranoia. It's a pattern, a recognizable pattern. And that's why we spent time today asking, what would Malcolm say? He wasn't talking about NIL. He wasn't even talking about sports, but he was talking about systems of containment. And sports, especially the college and pro leagues, have long been one of the most seductive systems used to channel Black brilliance away from collective power and in the individual spectacle. Malcolm would have told us that control dressed up as compassion is still control. That unless Black athletes are owning their platform and rewriting those rules, they'll remain powerful bodies with muted voices. So what's our play? Our call to action is clear. We must become fluent in these systems that exploit us. We must teach our youth how to read the fine print, ask the right questions, and spot the trap behind the applause. Because the truth is this: if we don't build our own infrastructure around NIL, someone else is going to build it for us. And it won't be for us. As fans, parents, educators, and athletes, we're not just playing defense anymore. We're building a new offensive line, one that centers ownership, equity, and legacy.
All right, let's bring it home. We spilled the tea. Been simmering for generations. Executive orders, NIL debates, concerned lawmakers, none of it's new. It's the same old remix. Let us run, let us dance, let us shine, but never let us lead. And the second Black athletes shift the narrative from profit to power, the system panics. That's why this ain't just a sports story, it's a sovereignty story. What would Malcolm say? He say distraction is the deadliest drug. He say as long as we're dancing in the end zone but not sitting at the table, we being played. He say you think you winning because you scoring, but ask who owns the scoreboard. Our athletes are the most gifted minds and bodies on earth, but a system that profits off your image while controlling your voice, that's still a plantation no matter how shiny the locker room. We're in a season of reckoning. NIL cracked the door open. Now they trying to slam it shut. They see Shadeur, Reese, Flage, Bronny, JuJu, all building empires, and they scared, shook. Scared we'll stop asking for permission and start sending invoices. Scared we'll stop letting them tell our stories and start owning our archives, sending contracts. See, that fear, that's power. And power is leverage if we know how to use it. So here's the call. Don't just clap when the endorsement hits. Ask who wrote the contract. Check the terms and conditions. Don't just cheer the college offer. Ask who profits off that scholarship. And don't just sip the tea. Study the system. Support our athletes. Advocate at respectourgame.online. Because here at PoliSports Tea Time, we don't spill gossip. We serve strategy. If you felt this, don't sit quiet. Like, share, subscribe, hype. Tell 10 more fans. PoliSports Tea Time is where we sip truth and spill systems. This is for the mamas in the bleachers, the uncles on the sidelines, the cousins in the dorm room. We see you. Join the Respect Our Game advocacy group. Let's build something together. Next episode, corporate politics and the future of the Black athlete brand. The game is changing, and the recruiters aren't just schools. They're corporations, collectives, and capital. Remember, sports are never just about the games we play. They're about the stories we tell, the gatekeepers we expose, and the systems we unravel. PoliSports Tea Time, Tuesdays and Thursdays. We sip the truth. We spill the tea. We stay free because knowledge is power. It's Cess, your favorite auntie with Uncle Tendencies and Political Lil. Stay tuned. Talk soon. We out.